but everything from the podcast comes from the radio show. I have a radio show that spins off into part of a podcast a couple weeks down the line from when we do it live. And then there's the live show, and then there's the on-demand show or whatever. I'm just bringing this up because I was reading on Ultimate Classic Rock, the website today, because they took something from the Duff McKagan interview, which of course was live a couple days ago. And I appreciate when these websites pick up stuff from this show, and they always credit the show, so that's great. But they wrote in it said something about Duff talking about Axl Rose joining AC/DC, so I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, that's probably from our interview, and it was. And it said in the text that they wrote from the coming episode of Trunk Nation. And I'm like, it ain't coming. It happened. It happened live 2 days ago. It happened. But I mean, I guess in some respects, now that it's a podcast or becomes a podcast or on demand, you don't know when people kind of connect to the stuff. It's interesting the life some of this stuff has out there once it happens. But it all originates live in this 3 to 5 Eastern window every day. And that's what my focus has always been on. And then the rollout from there, whatever. Somebody sent me and I'll caution everyone about this, and I don't even know where you'd find it online, but a listener emailed me a link the other day about some sort of Eddie Trunk fan-funded archive online of my entire radio career, or a lot of my radio career, not just satellite radio. And said, "Hey Eddie, is this legit? Are you behind this?" And you got to be careful on what you click on too, because there's so many scams out there and viruses and all that. And I was like, looked, and I go, no, this ain't me. I mean, it could be my stuff, but I don't know anything about it, and I'm not behind this, and I got nothing to do with it. So proceed at your own risk. It's crazy. In the last couple days, and I'm sure this is happening to you guys too, I've gotten invitations to parties that it turns out were not real parties. They were fake invitations. They were scams or viruses or whatever it was. But people I knew in my, people that actually know their names saying, hey, you're invited. Those invitations, where you click and a virtual envelope opens up and it's like, hey, come to my birthday or come to my wedding or whatever it is, party. And I just looked because the invites came from people that I normally really don't get invited to things from. So it already was like a bit of a red flag. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to click on this. And then what do? Do you email the person? You're like, hey, are you actually having a party? Like, isn't it pretty ridiculous now that you can't even really open an invitation to a party that you might get on an email because it could be a scam? Because that's actually happening now. It's like there's so much out there. It's like, what do you do? Even with all the caution that you might try to exercise, you don't know. You don't know what the hell's real and what's not anymore. And it's only getting worse every day. I mean, the text message scams and phone call scams and email scams. It's nuts. So it's a wild world we're in. Cat Stevens once said, it's a wild world. And yeah, it certainly is. And getting wilder by the minute. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good Thursday. Final live show of the week. When I'm done here on the air today, I'm catching a plane to San Antonio, a city that I'm now going to for the second time in my life. For years, I had never gone to San Antonio. And for years, I heard from people about what a great rock town it is. I finally went there last year because I was hired by the UFO tribute band Lights Out to host their show there. And I went. It was a fantastic experience. And we had a great crowd at Fitzgerald's, and I did a meet and greet with Andy Parker from UFO, who plays in the band and had a great amount of people. It was great. And I'm doing that again tomorrow night. Same band. Andy will be there with me, and same venue, Fitzgerald's. So it should be fun. My second ever trip to San Antonio. And yes, now that I've been there once, I can confirm it is indeed a great rock city. And then on Saturday, which is actually my 62nd birthday, and that blows my head out that I'm 62 on Saturday, but I'm going to be spending it in a car, driving with Andy and others from San Antonio to Houston. Now, I had booked a flight to go from San Antonio to Houston, and then I found out it's only like 3-hour drive or less than. So the band was like, why don't you cancel that? It'll take you longer to go through the airports. Just get in the car with us. So I didn't realize it was that close. So I'll spend Saturday, part of it at least, driving to Houston. Going to do a dinner with these guys Saturday night. And then Sunday afternoon at Warehouse, the rooftop, Lights Out playing there, and I'll be there to host that as well. So that's my weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. This band is phenomenal. You guys all know I love UFO to death. It features an actual member of UFO. John Adams, the band's leader and guitarist, is insanely great at playing all the Schenker stuff. Mark Bowles is singing. Wayne Finley's in the band. He plays with Michael Schenker. So Barry Sparks is in the band. He's played with Michael. So these guys all have some UFO connections, and then you've got then you've got Andy, who is actually an original member of UFO, playing drums. It's crazy. It's really cool. So if you're in San Antonio or in Houston, hope to see you there this weekend at those events, and I'll have some Trunk Nation stickers I'll be giving out and just hanging and hosting the show and meeting and greeting and whatever. Should be a fun weekend celebrating the music of one of my all-time hero bands, UFO, with the guys in Lights Out. So that's my weekend. Then, of course, back live with you guys on Monday here to kick off another week on Trunk Nation. Of course, tomorrow you'll get highlights from the week, as has been the case the last few weeks. That's our new schedule, and hope you guys are enjoying that, getting caught up on stuff from throughout the week. And again, you can always use the app to hear full shows as well. Also, I'm going to try over the weekend. I can't promise to get some more YouTube interviews up. We've got 3-4 that need to be posted. Just kind of try to roll that out a bit gradually. So we'll keep you posted on that. Had a nice phone call last night with Sammy Hagar off the air, just getting caught up on some stuff. And Sammy is very much looking forward to doing this show, which will be taking place next month from here in Vegas prior to him starting his residency. But we had a good conversation, just catching up on some stuff, and he's excited to come on the air with us next month as well. And, excited. He was telling me how great all the shows went in England that they did and the run of dates. I told him, I said, Sammy, and I wasn't lying because, if you were listening, I said, when you did those shows on the East Coast in America and the dates you did, the response was great. Everybody was saying how great the band sounded, and I told him I was surprised how many people had not seen the Best of All Worlds band, and he goes, yeah, me too. He said, I'm really glad I did those shows, and he was really glad he went to England. So we'll get more into all of that next month when he joins us in studio prior to the start of the latest Vegas residency here for Sammy and that band. We have 2 interviews for you here on Trunk Nation today. One is live and will happen in a few minutes. It is with Billy Morrison. Billy is the guitar player in Billy Idol's band, but also has had some great success as a solo artist with his 4th solo album coming out tomorrow. We'll talk to Billy about that. As is the norm with Billy, he has a ton of special major guests on the record, and he does that quite a bit in plugging in guests. And I think where that comes from is Billy does a lot of different things. And I think that, I know he's a big part of a band called Royal Machines, which is like an all-star cover band, if you will. Not really covers, because they'll bring people in. Like last time I saw Royal Machines, Sammy Hagar did a few songs with them. and they'll have this all-star backing band that Billy's a part of. So I suspect a lot of these guests come from his history jamming with all these people over the years. Billy Morrison was also very, very close to Ozzy and hosted the show on Boneyard that Ozzy did for many years. He was the co-host with Ozzy on that. So we'll talk to him for a bit at 3:30 Eastern time today about his new album, which is being released again tomorrow, called Hollow. And then we will have an interview with the 3 original members of Mastodon. Had to record that interview a couple days ago because of their schedule. They were in our LA studios. I was in Vegas, and we have that done now. So I'm going to roll that out for you to close the show. And it is with Braun and Troy and Bill, and they talk about the coming new Mastodon album, the coming new Mastodon tour, and also we talk a lot about Brent Hinds, their late guitarist, who passed away not long ago in a motorcycle accident shortly after announcing his departure from the band. And then there was some weird stuff online. And, you know, if you watch that documentary, which I suggest you do, it's on YouTube. It's called The Mastodon in the Room. And we talk about it in the interview. Those guys really got into it as far as what was going on with Brent Hinds over the years with them. It was a challenging situation for them. You know, he was a talented guy, but had his issues. And those manifested in some of the things he did and said after he left the band. And then tragically, he died in a motorcycle accident. And a lot of their coming new album, you know, that's in the backdrop as well, being the first record they've made in their history without him. So that's all covered, and you'll hear that interview today as well. That will roll somewhere around 4:15 Eastern time for the balance of the show. But great conversation with the 3 original members of Mastodon, with a busy schedule and a relaunch of sorts, given the passing of their guitarist. So that's what we have for you on a very busy double interview show for you today on Trunk Nation. And there is, of course, other news to share with you. So before we get to Billy and then to Mastodon and maybe sprinkle in a few phone calls, let's get to some news today, as is the norm. And the biggest news today is something that was kind of touched on with a caller about a week or two ago. And we now have confirmation, because there was if you listen to the show every day, there was a caller about a week or two ago who had said something about a Neil Peart documentary. And I was not aware that there was a doc being done on Neil Peart. So it turns out, indeed, there is. And it is called No One's Disciple. And it will be released on September 23rd. And it was done for the Canadian broadcast channel CBC. So I don't know when this is going to be available in America. I imagine that it might be right around the same time, because if it's going to be on Canadian television, I would think it's pretty likely that somebody might record it and post it on YouTube almost instantly. Whether it will stay there or not, I don't know. Whether it officially will be put there, I don't know. Whether it will be available on perhaps this network's streaming platform, I'm not sure. There's no information yet that I've seen about the U.S. or American availability of this. But I'm assuming that there will be. So anyway, this is going to be released in Canada on September 23rd, and hopefully we'll be able to see it shortly after that, if not on that day as well. The documentary does include, of course, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson. But what's really interesting about this is that Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson went into, I would assume, a studio, and they brought in a few drummers to jam Rush songs with, in tribute to Neil. And those drummers are Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Stuart Copeland, who was just on this show, of course, from the Police. And Stuart talked about his friendship with Neil Peart in the interview that we did, saying they would often jam and lived in the same area. So Stuart Copeland is one of the people jamming with Geddy and Alex, and the other is Danny Carey, the drummer from Tool. So those are the three drummers that they honed in on to essentially pay tribute to Neil Peart during this documentary. Now, I don't believe Annika Niles is a part of this at all. I'm not sure on that, but I don't think she is. She isn't mentioned in the press release about it. But that also may be because perhaps she wasn't in the band yet, or maybe they didn't decide they were going to use her yet, or maybe it was more about these other drummers who obviously were friends or heavily influenced by Neil. And look, again, there's 20 more drummers from major bands easily that they could have had for this. I'm sure there was some personal connection or reason beyond the fact that all three of these people are great players. I'm sure there's probably a greater reason why they decided to go with these three. May have been a personal connection. I don't know. And they're all different kind of players if you think about it, right? Danny Carey in Tool, more of a progressive rock band. Stuart Copeland from the Police, totally different sort of playing style. Chad Smith, more of a pocket groove, funk sort of player. So that's the other thing too. I guess when you break it down, they're three extremely accomplished drummers, but all with three very different styles. And I had heard that Geddy and Alex were in studios in LA, and I wasn't sure what they were doing, if they were recording new music or what was happening, but this may be the answer to that, because they may have gone into a studio with a film crew, because if there's footage in here of them jamming Rush songs with these drummers, of course, that had to be shot, and all three of these drummers, and there's the other reason why this would connect, all live in the LA area. So there you go. I would suspect the reported Rush studio activity may have been, in fact, for this documentary to shoot this stuff and record this stuff. And where this goes from here is anyone's guess. I mean, look, I still think it would be really cool if there was, I know this current Rush tour is serving as a tribute to Neil, and it very much is, and they've done a great job doing that. But I think it would be really cool still if they did a concert where they did 3 hours of Rush songs and there was a different drummer going up every song or two. Because these three drummers and countless others would be amazing watching them jam Rush songs. But that might be way too ambitious at this point to try to put together. But anyway, another tribute, if you will, documentary commemoration of the late, great Neil Peart, now with a documentary, No One's Disciple, September 23rd, the release date, at least in Canada. But I'm sure we'll be able to see it here in the U.S. shortly after. And in related Rush news, a big run of dates kicking off for them on their tour starting tomorrow as they get ready to perform in Toronto. So the hometown Rush shows starting tomorrow in Toronto, the first of 4. And of course, those should be extra special given that it is hometown stuff, and who knows what happens there. If they do anything different in the show, anything different in the set, anything different for Neil, if there are any guests that come out, we'll see. But that all kicks off tomorrow, and we'll report on it accordingly when back live on the radio on Monday, if something of note happens. The one thing we do know that is happening of note at these 4 Toronto hometown shows for Rush is that they are being filmed. Geddy Lee saying that there are so many people that want to see this show and can't, and so many areas of the world that they cannot tour and go to at this point in their career. So they are filming these Toronto shows for a concert film that will be coming out at a later date. Anthrax released another single today from their coming new album. I'm going to give the pronunciation of the title a try. Cursum Perficio. I think that's how you say it. Don't quote me on that. The album is still over a month away, but as is the norm, as I say every day in the music industry, multiple tracks released in advance. The third one today was issued called Everybody's Got a Plan. You may have heard the expression, everybody's got a plan until they're punched in the face, which I believe was coined by Mike Tyson. I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson was the first person to say that in an interview. Very Mike Tyson-esque sort of statement, right? And this song is a playoff of that. That's actually the chorus of the song. The song is called Everybody's Got a Plan, but it's actually Everybody's Got a Plan until they're punched in the face. And there's the video that came out today with the song is basically just a cut of a lot of footage of Anthrax on tour opening for Iron Maiden in Europe, and just shows them backstage on stage. They clearly were not playing the song in the live footage that you see in it. So it's basically an on-the-road video. And then it cuts away to some boxing footage. So third track from all of the tracks, by the way, are killer so far from the coming new Anthrax album, their first album of new material in about, gosh, I think it's almost 10 years, which is insane when I think about that. And of course, we'll do something with the guys. I always like to do things closer to the release of the album. I know that tons of artists do tons of press and tons of songs and videos come out before an album's available. You know, I'm still holding on, when I can, the effectiveness, I think, of telling people about a record when it's very close to being able to get or to listen to, or even out already. Billy Morrison coming on today. His record's out tomorrow. So you hear Billy talk about it. If you like what you hear, you can get it in a few hours. So the Anthrax album, again, September 18th, the release date. So again, over a month away. Third track released today. Joan Jett has canceled her performances scheduled for September. There were only 2 that I knew of. And Joan Jett has suffered a fractured vertebrae and had to undergo some surgery. Wishing her a speedy recovery. And as a result, she is unable to perform for a bit. Press release statement on social media came out saying that she plans to be back into action by the end of the year and looks forward to returning to the road. So get well to Joan Jett, recovering from some surgery. There's also a Joan Jett photo book coming out soon. I can tell you that because a friend of mine who was her photographer for many years is actively working on it with her. And finally, finally, another sign that we are getting closer and closer to football season, which I cannot wait for, is that the Madden NFL 27 game is about to come out. Now, I don't play video games, but I know this is a huge video game. And this has been going for a very, very long time, and it's a big deal every year when they release it, who's on the cover of the box and all of that. The game is coming out August 13th, but today a soundtrack for the game was released, which is why I'm bringing it up. And among the rock music in the soundtrack are songs from The Who, Styx, Metallica, and Ozzy Osbourne. So at least some rock presence, which is more than we can say for the halftime of the Super Bowl lately, is included in the Madden NFL 27 game releasing on August 13th. Joel, anything you got?
Just birthdays to add today. We're just going to say happy birthday to Vinnie Vincent, celebrating 74.
Where is Vinnie Vincent? What is he doing? What is he up to now? What's happening now? What sort of he's ever since he tried to sell his record for what was it, like $1 million, which I don't think there were any takers, singles for like 100,000 a piece. I mean, just crazy stuff. Ever since, we've not heard anything. And I don't think anybody bought that album for whatever crazy amount of money he was trying to get for it. Otherwise, we probably would have heard about it. All right. Yeah, Vinny was on this show about 7-8 years ago, and that was the last I heard from him. And ever since, it's been start, stop, and kind of strange stuff. But happy birthday, and hope he's okay. All right, thank you for that. Let's take a break. Again, very busy show today, so we'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll spend a few minutes with Billy Morrison about his new album, again, coming out tomorrow. And then we'll welcome the members of Mastodon to the show. So busy Trunk Nation, hitting the world of rock in all ways, and we'll get into it with Billy next.
Back to Trunk Nation.
Dedicated celebration of rock.
Amen to that.
With host Eddie Trunk.
The new David Lee Roth.
Sirius XM Faction Talk.
Well, I didn't expect during the commercial break to be talking with my friend Billy Morrison, who is British, about football. And when I thought he was going to bring up football, I thought he was going to bring up soccer. But no, Billy just revealed to me during the commercial break he is indeed a fan of American football. Billy, how you doing, buddy?
Eddie, thank you for having me. And I am indeed. I call it football because that's what it's called. It's soccer over there. Right. You know. And look, it came from a misspent early 20s in England, and the only thing on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning was NFL, and I became a Raiders fan for my sins, and here we are, decades later.
Are you optimistic about your Raiders this year? It can only get better, right?
You took the words out of my mouth. We had people that I thought were our janitors and our groundsman quarterback in last year. It was crazy. Never heard of this guy, and he's out there. But I think with Mendoza, and I think with a couple of other things that have gone on, we stand a chance.
Well, much as I was saying, as a massive Giants fan, we're kind of in the same boat. It can only go up from here, and exactly. I have great optimism. It's funny because I went to the Giants-Raiders game last year towards the end of the season, and that was the game that both teams wanted to lose and would have been better to lose for the draft pick. And, of course, the Giants won. So
I remember that game.
I was like, oh, God, the one we should have lost. Of course, they won, but
we did all right out of that.
Yeah, you did, because that's how you got Mendoza, because you got the number one pick. So hopefully he'll pan out for you guys. Like I was telling Billy off the air, because he didn't know what team I was a fan of, and I told him the Giants, and he goes, oh, because he knows I'm in Vegas. And I said, well, who are you a fan of? And he said the Raiders. I go, I got no beef there, because I said, if you would have said Cowboys, Eagles, or Commanders, then we'd have a problem. But otherwise, we're all good. So I'll pull for you. I'll pull for your Raiders.
Thank you.
So, Billy, congratulations on the new album. As I was telling my audience, I always like to do interviews with artists about a new album coming out very close to the release of the album, because even though a lot of music comes out in advance these days, people have short attention spans, and they get a chance to really dig right in if they like what they hear. And your album comes out tomorrow, so this is perfect timing. This is, I believe, your third or fourth solo album, right? Hollow?
It is. It's the fourth, but it's really the second serious, here we go, giving birth to a body of work type deal. You know, the Morrison Project a couple of years ago was the first one that I really felt, oh God, we had a number 1, we had a number 7, I think. And I started to think, okay, maybe I have something to say. And so now this follow up, I'm so proud of it, Eddie. It's, I didn't think I was going to do another one, but I had the songs, and the record label are just amazing that they support me. The thing that I'm not trying to be Taylor Swift and get a solo career here. What makes it fun for me is the team that I have around me are old school. We do vinyl. We do CDs. We do tons of videos that look like they're $1 million budget. You know, how music used to be. You know, and an album, 12 songs with a story that goes through it and a journey, side A, side B. I'm surrounded by people that do that, and it makes it worth doing it for me.
And look, as an old school rock fan myself, I appreciate the hell out of that. And I think that's great that you do that. And I love where you're coming from. And I love the fact that this record, I mean, there's many different sides to it. It's a killer rock record top to bottom, but you've got all these different elements in this as you've done in the past. And I was saying off the air, you are a big collaborator. You love, it seems, to collaborate with people, and you have, I would think, quite the Rolodex, if you will, to use an old school term, of people that you call on to collaborate with. Of course, you've done stuff with the late great Ozzy, but also even looking down this record, I mean, some of the people that you've worked with on here, on the first track, you had Sully Erna and Nuno on there. You've got Marilyn Manson on here. You've got all these different, Chuck D, I mean, Duff McKagan, who was just on my show the other day. I mean, all these people that you work with and collaborate. Where does that come from, Billy? Because I was saying off the air, I saw you recently in Vegas playing with Royal Machines, and I know that's very much a collaborative thing. Does a lot of this come from the association with working with all these different people over the years?
Well, yes, but I think ultimately collaboration for me keeps me sharp as a player, as a songwriter. It keeps me on my toes. Only the other day, I got asked to play a solo on a thrash band's record, a band called Aftermath. And I don't play thrash, but I was honored and I've done it, and I think it's going to come out at some point. And I think that the real collaboration, I don't want to be in a dictatorship. I want to collaborate. I want to learn. I mean, sitting in the booth with Manson, watching him do his vocals is incredible. The guy knows exactly who he is and what he wants and how to get it. Or Sully, I sat there watching Sully do his vocals. I can only learn and grow from that experience. It's never going to be a bad thing. My playing has got exponentially better through years of standing on a stage with Slash, with Steve Stevens, with Nuno, with Navarro, with the world's great players in that Royal Machines thing. I'm going to shut up and listen. I'm going to learn, and soak it in.
And of course, I imagine from a playing standpoint, I mean, for those that don't know, you've been a guitar player in Billy Idol's band for many, many years, and you're side by side every night with Steve Stevens. So that's probably a pretty cool thing too.
Dude, it's a little freaky, Eddie, because Steve, I truly don't believe Steve understands just how great he really is. Mm-hmm. And he will ask me to do stuff that I physically don't think I can do. I'm like, my fat fingers will not do that. And he just says, yeah, they can. And he walks away. And so I'm forced by being in a band with Steve Stevens to get better really quick, I love being in a band with Steve and Billy. They're the greatest supporters of what I do. And, Billy was on the last album. Steve is on this album on a track. It's great.
Yeah, it's really cool because you've got all these different collaborators on these different tracks, and then you have a song like "Take Me As I Am," which is officially released as a single and video, I believe, tomorrow, to coincide with the release of the actual full album. And to me, that one, some of this stuff, you can feel the influence of all these different people, whether you wrote it with them or whether they guest on the record. But this one is really more purely just you, right?
I cannot tell you how not nervous, how happily nervous I am, because for years I've been the guy that plays guitar for Billy Idol, or the guy that knows Ozzy and did some songs, or the guy that with someone else. And this song, Take Me As I Am, it comes out tomorrow. It was written by me, it's played by me, it's sung by me, the lead guitar is me. It's a me thing, and I've been hesitant to do that. And everyone around me said, no, now's the time. It's a Billy, because I put these Billy Morrison solo albums out and they're covered with my friends. It's about time to put it out. And I've got to say, the video, I'm very loyal to the team of people that are around me, the label and the people that mixed my album, Barry Pointer and Dave Donnelly. And Jane Stewart is a photographer that has done all of the visual side of the Billy Morrison solo stuff, album covers, all of it. And I asked her if she would consider a directorial debut. She's never directed a video before. And I think have you seen the video?
Yes.
Did she knock it out of the park?
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So, it feels like giving birth, because this is all or nothing. This is me, Billy Morrison. Here's the video. Here's the song. So, yeah.
Here's the
I'll be on stage with Idol tomorrow, so maybe the pressure will be dissipated a little bit.
Here's the real question about the video, and people can see the video when it gets released tomorrow. Is that car yours?
Unfortunately, no. But I had it for a week because we kept doing reshoots and, I need the car again. So I got to drive it around for a week. And I got to tell you, Eddie, you don't want that as your daily driver. It's a beast.
Is that right? Was it?
Yeah.
Is it a Lamborghini? Is it a Ferrari? What was it?
It's a Lamborghini Murcielago. And it is the loudest, most obnoxious sounding, amazing thing to drive. And I'm sure people are going to love to watch it just for the car. It's beautiful.
I want to ask you about some of the people you collaborated in terms of the songwriting on this record. Excuse me, because, on Becoming, which was the first track, you worked with Sully co-wrote the song with you. And also Brett Scallions, who is the former singer from Fuel, and I love Fuel. So you worked with people like that. You worked with on No Suspects. You've got Chuck D on there. You've got Josh Freese. He was on this show not long ago. Leave No Trace. You wrote with Duff McKagan. What else on here? Never Gonna Change, Jacob Bunton, super talented guy. I know Jacob very well.
Yeah.
So you've got so many different people. I think when people look at this stuff and they look at some of the people you have actually performing on the record, amazing names, no doubt. Dexter Holland from The Offspring is on here. You did a track with him. That was a previous single. But from the songwriting aspect, working with some of these people as collaborators in writing, how does that work? Is it you have the seed of the idea and you said, hey, I got to bounce this off of somebody I might, or what's the way that works?
Well, that's a really astute question. And I think that it's different for every song. For instance, the song with Sully and Nuno came from a riff that Brett Scallions had sent me. That started with a Brett Scallions riff. And there was other stuff around that riff that I took away. I said, this is the winning, this here's the winning riff. And so I build the song around that riff. There are other songs where it becomes a little difficult. The reason it's a Billy Morrison solo album is that everything has to feel good to me, And so sometimes I am steering the ship through waters that I don't want to be in, if that makes sense. And it's come over here and I've got to gently take the steering wheel and I've got to bring it back over here and now we're good again. And I think I'm listed as producer of the album, which I am. And I think that is the producer's job, to take talent like that and keep it in the vein of the overarching sound of the record. I think I did a good job of that. Most of the songwriting starts with me. I would say 90% of the album starts with me writing it. Most of the co-writes are lyrical, to be honest, because I'm not going to tell Marilyn Manson or Duff McKagan what to sing, what to write. You know, from the last album, like I would always use this. I had Al Jurgensen on the last album. You don't ask Al Jurgensen to appear on a record and then try and tell him how to sound and what to sing. You just go, Al, here's the track, you know? And it's the same with Manson. I would never try and I'm asking people that I love and respect what they do to just do what they do, but do it on this music. So that's the co-writes are a lot really lyrically.
Yeah. You know, you brought up Manson a couple times, and he's on a track on the record, and I've always been a fan, and I know Manson as well, and I'm really happy for him because he has really changed. I mean, in a best of ways, and gotten totally sober. I mean, did you know Manson for a long time? Because I knew him back when he was anything but, and now he's a completely different guy for the better, and he got his career back too, which is great. So do you have a lot of history with him?
I mean, we've gotten a lot. Let's put it this way. I've known him for a long, long while. I definitely knew him back then, but we've gotten a lot closer. I mean, you can't help but get closer to people when they stop being loaded. Most people I know become much nicer when they're not getting hammered, you know.
Well, I bring Billy. I bring this up specifically too because, of course, of your own history. So I figured you'd go there because you could certainly relate.
100%. You would not. I would not be able to make these records or hang out or even talk to you if I was loaded. You wouldn't want that. I'm an idiot when I'm using, like most of us. Manson is a joy to be around. He's a lovely man. I reconnected really seriously at Ozzy's funeral. I had to do one of the eulogies in England at the house, and I haven't been in that kind of state in a long while. I was really emotional, and he helped me. He helped me a lot. Unconditional love. He put his arm around me and he said a few things, and that meant the world. And then we got back to America, and I said, listen, I've got this track, and there's only one person that can sing it, and it's you. And he loved it, and we did it.
Oh, wow. You know, you bring up Ozzy, and of course, it's just been, you know, it's right around a year now, coming up that we lost him. Everybody knows of your relationship and your closeness, especially people listening here on Sirius XM because of all the great stuff you did with him over on his channel. How has the last year for you been? I imagine very, very hard, but when you look back and you see the outpouring of love and respect and the tributes and everything that's happened, and then some of the things that's happened since we lost him, how are you feeling about everything? I know that it's something you're probably never going to get over, but you know, how do you look back on the last year?
I think that the anniversaries that happened recently were no harder for me than the other 364 days that I've missed the guy. You know what I mean? It was really tough for a few months. I can tell you I still haven't watched either of the documentaries. I can't. I'm in them both, and I can't watch them. I don't think I need to watch them, to be honest with you, Eddie. I am also, I'm happy that the man is at peace. He's not in pain anymore, and he's at peace. And the love, listen, there are presidents of countries that don't get the love Ozzy Osbourne had when he passed, when he left us, when the anniversaries rolled around. And so, you know, I miss my friend. I miss my friend. That's it. But I'm happy that the world doesn't forget him.
Yeah, no, that'll never happen.
I still get emotional, dude. I still get emotional.
Hey, I understand. I mean, I was super close to Ace Frehley for over 40 years, and I still haven't totally processed that. I was in I should mention, I misspoke. Of course, we just passed the anniversary of Ozzy's death. I said coming up, but of course we passed it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, Billy, I was I was watching a Kiss tribute band the other day, and there was a guy in front of me. I didn't know him, and he was wearing a Ace Frehley t-shirt with just a big picture of Ace on the back. And I actually just started getting, breaking down a little bit, just staring at this guy's t-shirt. And so people that wouldn't know or didn't know the history that I had with him, they might be like, what's wrong with this guy? What's happening? And I just had to take a breath and take a beat and kind of recompose myself. But just staring at the back of a stranger's shirt and seeing my friend's face and knowing what it meant to me and obviously so many people. So those things will happen, and that's something that I'm sure you're going to experience with Ozzy. I didn't know Ozzy personally like you did, but I've had the same thing with Ace since he passed.
And Eddie, grief is grief, and grief is very weird, and it comes at the most unexpected times. And when I get hit the most is when something ridiculously funny happens in a restaurant, and I go to text him, because that's what we did. Is I'd say, this idiot just dropped soup all over, whatever it is, and I realize he's not there, and that's it. But grief is funny, and it comes very unexpectedly. I have to say this. I just got a text. Frankie Perez says hi. He loves you.
I love Frankie. I wanted to mention him because he's in the new video.
He is. So just for the listener, Frankie has this show in Vegas on Thursday nights at Treasure Island. Total Vegas performer. And Jane, who had directed the video, knows Frankie and suggested the whole storyline of the video is Jane, she directed it. And so Frankie and the Showgirls drove in from Vegas to appear in the video. And I'm sure we didn't pay them. So I want to give a big shout out to Frankie and the girls for coming.
Frankie is such a talented guy and singer and entertainer and performer. And what he's doing right now is not so much, although there's some elements of rock in it, it's very Vegas showy. But I tell people all the time, I went to see the show. No, I went to see, not since it moved to Treasure Island, I went to see it when he was doing it at a different location recently. And it's amazing. And his guitar player, Christian Brady's so great. And I tell people all the time, if you're coming to Vegas and you want a great Vegas showman and a great just performance of fun music, you got to go see Frankie.
We're going to hit it. Billy Idol is coming to Vegas for a few nights, which, by the way, if you're around, please, I'm extending the invite now. Just hit me up. We're going to go hit Frankie's show on a day off when we're in Vegas.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since it's been to the new place, but I definitely will. And it's Frankie's so talented. So, I was glad. It was funny to see him in there in the video. People can see that tomorrow as well. One other thing I want to ask you about, Billy, and I thought this was great, and we should direct people to this as well. Again, Billy's album Hollow, which we're talking about, comes out tomorrow. But you, before this, you released a little documentary on YouTube, which is brilliantly titled. It's called Who the Fuck is Billy Morrison? And some of the people we're talking about do appear in this doc. Tell me why you wanted to do that. I imagine there's some people that I'm taking a guess here, like, wait a minute, this guy was close with Ozzy and he's got all these heavy people on his show, but who the fuck is he? So was that the idea behind it?
Look, it came from my PR guy, Mitch, who you know. Sure. I don't think he was serious. He said, we were running into, look, in the rock world, I guess people know who I am, but I don't expect the world to know who Billy Morrison is. I'm the guy who stands beside the guy. Always have been, and that's fine. And Mitch said, yeah, we should do a little mini documentary called Who the Fuck is Billy Morrison? Well, that's the wrong thing to say to me, because I will go out and make that documentary. So we did. And luckily my friends are the thing people need to understand about all this solo stuff, they're my friends. I'm not hitting managers up. So I called Nuno and Duff and Be Real and, Al, who I know are going to be complimentary, but I also said, I want you to be tongue in cheek. I need to take myself lightly here. And we made it, and, I think it's nice. I think it does actually show who the fuck is Billy Morrison, but not in a narcissistic way. I mean, I'm just trying to get the word out there that there's a good solo album coming out tomorrow, Eddie.
No, but I thought it hit the perfect tone, and I bring it up because there's probably, even though I've talked about you and played your stuff, I'm sure there's people listening right now that says, who is this British dude he's talking to? How does he know all these guys? How does he have all these people on his record? And if you want to find out the backstory, it's about, 7-8 minutes long. You can go to YouTube, and there it is.
It's a very easy watch, and there's some comical stuff in there. I think Al Jurgensen has the best line, which is, "What could go wrong?"
And Nuno, who always strikes that perfect tone too. He has great, something. Yeah. Here's something there. He's like, Billy Morrison, who the fuck is that? There's something like that Nuno did.
What he said was, "Isn't he related to Jim Morrison? That's why I'm here."
Hey, one last thing. You are still doing a radio show now on Sirius XM right now as well? Yeah. Influenced you're doing? Yeah, I had 2 shows for the longest time. It's my show, which is Influenced, and obviously Ozzy Speaks. But I'm still doing Influenced. They haven't asked me to leave yet, so I keep doing it. I'm in my 5th year now of doing that show, and it's, I like it, Eddie. I like to be creative, and I don't interview in the normal way. Much like yourself, it's a chit chat. It's not, I cannot stand. So, what's it like being in Poland today? Yeah, it's like, haven't we all seen that interview before? Yeah, absolutely.
So the more people on air like you and I, the better. So yeah, I'm still doing Influenced. They let me do it every month. I think they're happy with me. So, you can catch me on Sirius.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because you can hear Billy on the airwaves here as well. So, and Billy Idol, you're playing with, when did you say, tomorrow? You got a gig tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'm in Boston. You can see it's a hotel room here. We just landed yesterday, so the first show of the tour is tomorrow in Scranton, Pennsylvania. But we hub, so we're going to be in Boston for a week, and we fly to and from the shows. And it all leads up, we go through Vegas for the residency at the Fontainebleau, and then it all leads up to the well-deserved Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Billy and Steve. We are playing. I'm very honored to be playing it with Billy and Steve, and I'm so happy for those guys.
So crazy overdue. So it's glad that it's, yeah. And I'm a voter for the Hall of Fame. And of course I voted for them. It's so deserving and so overdue. And thankfully it's happening, because one of my big peeves with the Hall of Fame is they wait so long on so many deserving artists to put them in, that sadly when they get there, key members have passed away or can't play anymore. You just saw what happened with Bad Company. Paul Rogers couldn't sing. It's terrible. I mean, Bad Company should have went in 20 years ago, and they could actually have the band playing. So the fact that, Billy Idol defies all explanation with how he looks and how good he can still perform at his age.
Eddie, just before we came out on the road, we did a Royal Machines gig the day before we flew. It was a private, and Billy did 3 songs. And I found myself standing he was so on fire. And I'm playing going, dude, how do you do that? He's the same guy that he was 40 years ago. It's crazy.
He's still taking his shirt off.
Yeah, and he still looks good, So
exactly.
And I love that Steve is going in as well, because he deserves it.
100%. So that's all good stuff as well. Well, listen, my friend, travel safe out there. Congratulations on the new album. Again, it's out tomorrow. If you love real rock and roll, man, there's great stuff on here. It's all sorts of good music and all, different guests. And like we said, the track hitting tomorrow is just pure Billy, but there's a bunch of other things smattered along the record as well to check out. You even got my buddy Fred Corey playing drums on a bunch of tracks. I love Fred. He was just on with me a couple days ago, and I told him, I said, you got to get back out there behind a kid again, playing some. He's having great success with all this scoring and things he's doing, but I think he brought up that he played on your record in the interview as well, so he was excited.
Yeah, so great to have him.
Great. All right, Billy. Well, listen, congrats on everything, and I'll be seeing you soon, man. Take care, all right? And say hi to the guys.
Eddie. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. There's Billy Morrison, everybody. Again, Hollow is out tomorrow. Buy it. Look, like Billy said, you've got cassettes. Maybe because you doing cassettes? Everyone does cassettes now.
We didn't. There's CD, there's vinyl, there's digital.
All right, well, that's good enough, but that's a thing now. I don't know if you know that. I don't know how many
next album, Eddie. The next album.
Yeah, well, then by the next album, you'll have to do 8 tracks.
Hey, oh, God.
Open reel, where's it going to go? I don't know. But anyway, whatever format you currently can get, CDs, which is my favorite, vinyl, and of course on all your streaming platforms, Hollow is out tomorrow. Billy Morrison, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the members of Mastodon on a very busy Trunk Nation. We'll come right back.
And now more hard and heavy conversation
Fuck yeah.
Dude, you could do that? That's something you can do.
with host Eddie Trunk.
Hell yeah, Eddie Trunk, man. Sirius XM Faction Talk. It's amazing.
All right. Big thanks to Billy Morrison for a good conversation there. And the album is really cool. There's some good stuff on there, a lot of cool guests, and the track coming tomorrow, which is kind of in your face, kind of straight up guitar-driven rock, also very good. And that is, I think one of the things with Billy is you look at what he does, and he has so many different guests that are always on the music that he plays that you're not exactly sure what's him and what is more of a project or what's exactly the makeup of what he's doing. But the track coming tomorrow is all him. So you really get a sense of him singing and playing all the guitars and what have you. But then there's other things on there with Nuno playing, Sully singing, Manson singing a song. It's a very eclectic mix of stuff. Again, released tomorrow. We may have time here to squeeze in a few calls before we go to our second interview. Phone number is 844-686-5863. 844-686-5863 if you want to jump in real quick. Joel's telling me I mentioned I'm flying to San Antonio later and doing an appearance at Fitzgerald's tomorrow and then Sunday afternoon in Houston at Warehouse, both with Lights Out, the UFO tribute. And Joel's telling me that people in that area are calling in and saying how hot it is there and to dress accordingly, which you'll have no issue with me on that. Traveling light, shorts and T-shirts all the way. But as I am not worried about the heat because I'm coming to and from Vegas, where it has been in the triple digits now for about a month straight, and even at night is hovering around 100. So big difference, though. Big difference. And it is true. It is dry here, where in Houston or parts of Texas, you throw in that humidity on top of the 100-degree heat. And man, that is brutal. Somebody also told me, because I mentioned I'm doing a drive on Saturday, I'll be doing a drive from San Antonio to Houston, which I've never done before, that apparently on that run is the biggest Buc-ee's. Now, I have been to a Buc-ee's once in my life. I don't know if that was the one, because there are several. But if you don't know what Buc-ee's is, it's become like a thing. I mean, people all over the place go crazy for Buc-ee's, and it's not in all parts of the country. But it's basically a rest stop on steroids. It'll have like 100 or something, 200 gas pumps. And then the store, where you'd go into like a 7-Eleven or a Quick Check or Quick Trip or whatever you have by you, You go into a store like that, and there's a couple rows of snack foods, a couple refrigerators of drinks, and you grab, you go, you hit the bathroom, whatever. A Buc-ee's is that times 100. They're enormous, and they've got everything imaginable and their own brands of stuff in there. It's quite an experience, and it's quite a thing you kind of have to do. Now, I'm not going to be driving on Saturday, but if I can't imagine we're going to pass one and not make the mandatory stop in there just to walk around and take a little break. But they've become quite an institution in areas of the country where they exist. And I'll tell you a funny story about a Buc-ee's related to music. A friend of mine who lives in Oklahoma sent me a video once. And he's friends with Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top. And Billy Gibbons went into the Buc-ee's with him. And they are traditionally very, very crowded, Buc-ee's. Obviously, they're heavy traffic areas, whatever. And here's Billy Gibbons looking full on like Billy Gibbons, like not in a disguise, total Billy Gibbons mode. And he's walking around a Buc-ee's, picking up a beef jerky, picking up a bag of popcorn, grabbing a drink, whatever he's doing, just wandering about Buc-ee's, picking up the stuff, looking at it. And my friend who was with him took his phone out and was videotaping Billy going through the Buc-ee's. And all these people are walking by him and not stopping or saying a word. And this is like in Texas with the singer from ZZ Top. And I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I said to the guy, I said, how the hell did Billy Gibbons not get swarmed with people shopping in a Buc-ee's in Texas? And he said, because nobody would believe that was actually Billy Gibbons in the Buc-ee's. Everyone thought it was like, oh, look at that guy trying to look like Billy Gibbons in a Buc-ee's. Because people couldn't put together and couldn't believe that Billy Gibbons would actually be, the real Billy Gibbons would actually be walking around in a Buc-ee's. But he was. It was really him, and not one person stopped him because they all just thought it was a guy trying to look like him. That's the greatest thing. I'm watching this thing in disbelief. And if you know Billy, and I certainly do, fantastic guy. He's been to my house. He's been on this show. He's a very unassuming guy, so you could imagine him doing that. And I've told him many times, I'm like, dude, if you ever wanted total anonymity, to be able to go anywhere you want and not have one person stop you and say, hey, Billy Gibbons, holy shit. He could have it in about 30 seconds. All he'd have to do is shave his beard. If he shaved his beard, there would not be one person, including me probably, who would recognize him. It's a pretty interesting thing when you think about it, right? You could go from being one of the most identifiable people in music, certainly in rock music, to one of the most completely anonymous, unknown person simply by shaving your face. You ever see pictures of Billy Gibbons before he had the beard, like the really early ones? Looks nothing like him. He's like, yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. I was like, I know, but if you ever woke up one day and you're like, man, I'd really like to walk through a mall or something and not have somebody be like, hey, man, Billy Gibbons, holy shit, let me get a picture. Boom, shave, over, done. Or maybe he figured out the other thing. He's so identifiable that people wouldn't expect him to walking around in normal situation, and he just don't get stopped that way either. Maybe that's why he doesn't have to do it. Because people don't believe it's actually him because they didn't think he would be in that situation. Pretty funny. All All right, we got another interview coming up here, and it is with Brann and Troy and Bill, the three original members of Mastodon, surviving original members of the band. As you know, they recently lost their guitarist, Brent Hinds, to a motorcycle accident. He had left the band. A few months later, he passed away in that accident. He looms large in this new Mastodon album because it's the first they've made without him. They also have a documentary on YouTube talking about him called The Mastodon in the Room, and a new album coming out in a few weeks. So I had some time with these guys who I've known for a little bit, and I'm a fan of what they do. Good guys and a real good band. New music coming.
This is Faction Talk on SiriusXM,
Home of Trunk Nation.
where the conversation is all things rock.
Now, Eddie Trunk.
All right, it's Eddie Trunk, Trunk Nation on Faction Talk 103 and the SiriusXM app, talking rock music. Last I saw these guys, it was late at night at the Hard Rock in Tulsa a few years ago following a performance at Rocklahoma. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, because we all had a few in us at that point. But
I remember.
Yeah, we were just talking
Troy
about
and
that.
Brann, I think it was me, Troy and Brann. We were hanging right down by the slot machines there.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, we closed it down.
We did.
I was like, "There's Eddie the Trunk." There he
Stay
is.
away from the slot machine.
Well, joining us now from Mastodon on the show is Bill, Troy, and Brann. And guys, congratulations on the new album. I've heard a few of the tracks. It sounds absolutely killer. And it is coming out on August 28th, called Marrow Deep. And I know this was quite an odyssey for you guys to get to making this record. So who wants to, give us the backstory on it? I mean, there's a lot to dig into here, and we don't have a ton of time. But Brann, do you want to start with this as to, how this all came together, and obviously the first album without Brent being on board, and what this whole experience has been like to get it to this point?
Yeah, obviously we didn't want the album to be about what it's about, and we would take all the songs and all the lyrics back if we could have our people back, but that's not the situation. So we started really writing for this record maybe a couple of years ago, and then we interrupted that writing to go on the Leviathan anniversary tour with Lamb of God around the States. And around the end of that tour, we decided, okay, we're going to hunker down and really start writing. And that's where we experienced some turmoil with our brother Brent. And I unfortunately lost my mother, and we were kind of working away on stuff, and it was tough. But then we went to Europe for a summer tour. We were diligently working on the material, getting it ready to go into the studio in September, and unfortunately, another tragedy. We lost Brent at the end of August. But we still had to go into the studio in about a week after losing Brent, and kind of thought that maybe it was not the best idea. We weren't sure, but it ended up being exactly what we needed to kind of go in there and lean on each other and just dig in on these songs and put every little bit of all of these couple of tragedies that unfortunately visited us into the music, into the lyrics, into everything about it, and to just power through and like I said, lean on each other to get through and come out the other side with this album that we're all very proud of, but it is very emotional for us.
Bringing this up, and I just kind of jump around the room to get everybody involved, because I'm not seeing you guys. I'm in Vegas. You guys are in LA.
What?
But Troy, I know it's a great loss to not be able to see my mug face for radio over here, guys.
Don't worry, we got your picture pulled up.
Troy, I'll let you take this one. And this is something that hit me, because you guys had gone in and made this record. And obviously with the backdrop of the loss of Brent. But it also came to mind that your previous record, you also went in and made a record under also tragic circumstances, because for those that don't know, at that time, you lost a guy that was a great friend of mine, your manager, Nick John. So this is kind of the second time in a row Mastodon has been in a position to make a record coming from a position of great grief, right?
Yeah. But one thing that that we did early in our career when we wrote Crack the Sky is both Brann and myself, who are now the co-lyricists of the band, and we collaborate to write lyrics. Since Crack the Sky, we've been it's been therapeutic and very helpful when we can channel all the things happening in our real life to the lyrics. We try to draw, stories around them, but to channel this authentic sadness of the real life situations that we're going through, it makes sense to us. It's helpful to us, and on the flip side, it's very relatable to anyone that cares to listen, because we're just human. We're not bigger or better than anyone else. And if we can, when we turn these dark, tragic things lyrically into something that we hope to be bright and beautiful, that lives forever, that's an achievement that we're shooting for. So we've been not shying away from doing that from a lyrical standpoint. And for this record, especially Marrow Deep, I didn't know where my head and brains and heart were, and I don't know about Brann. I think he was a similar situation. We're just kind of lost in this. But it was very, very, very helpful for me to process all this information, putting my heart to my pen to paper, and then that paper through the microphone when we're demoing vocals and actually tracking the record. So, yes, it was dark. It was shrouded with sadness. But now that it's been months since we finished the record and it's about to come out, I listen to it with a lot of pride, feeling that it was very successful personally and with my bandmates. So, yeah, it's bizarre that we do this quite often, but I find it to be pretty powerful and very, very, very helpful.
Bill, why don't you jump in here? Anything you want to add about all of this? I mean, when you're in the middle of making this, I'm sure you're really not sure what the end result's going to be and how it's going to play. But then when you get a chance to look back on it and live with it, you probably, maybe sometimes your feelings change. Maybe I'm wondering, when you're actually in it and in the creative process, you're probably kind of questioning things as to what you should or shouldn't be doing at that time. But in retrospect, it probably plays a little bit differently, I would think.
Well, I mean, honestly, I am the riff guy. Like, I constantly am just writing. And when I'm writing, I'm not really thinking about, this. I mean, except for there were a few songs on there when Brann's mom passed away that I was thinking of kind of honoring her with some of the riffs that I was writing. Not lyrical content, because I don't do that. I'm riff. But I'm always thinking, it's got to be dark. It's got to be sad. Not non-happy, just because I know something bad's going to happen, and it's not going to fit with the lyrical contents, unfortunately. So I'm always going for that dark, spooky kind of riffage. You know what I'm saying? And when it would be a disservice to our fallen family members, friends, to Brent, to Michelle, if we didn't make the album a tribute to them. It's cathartic in a way. I lost my mom during Emperor of Sand, and that was every time when I write riffs, for instance, like Roots Remain, I put my heart and soul into those, into the choice notes that I pick and I play. And because every time I play those riffs and those songs, it brings me to think of her. And it's the same with every album. Each album is song is a moment in time of a snapshot of where we are. And I just try to facilitate that in my songwriting, as far as, the riffs and the rhythms and the overall feel of everything. And then peppered in with when Brann and I and Troy, on the last few records, really dial it in, it becomes this, in my mind, a masterpiece. And this record is no different. It's, it's like the elephant in the room is like, we can't, we have to talk about what's happening in our lives. You got to get off your chest, you know what I mean? And honor these, tragedies. And with Nick John, I mean, there's no way we could have made a record and not mentioned him or that's all we were thinking about. I mean, he was one of my closest friends in the world. Yeah. But yeah. And it just so happens, I feel like every record, we're getting older, and it's like, man, we're turning into this like kind of grief-stricken band. But it's at the same time, on the good side of it, the upside is it's what our fans kind of expect. Because I read a lot of the responses, the message boards, when people are like, man, I feel what you meant when you guys sang this in Crack the Sky or the riff in this song. And it really brings tears to my eyes. I'm like, Jesus, man, you understand, like you got it. And it's therapeutic. It's like medicine. So this album, I'm so proud of it. All the work that we put into it in the years of writing. Because when I first put it all together, I'm like, man, is this any good? Everything, it all sounds like one big homogenous blob right now. But then I bring it to the other guys and we all chip away at it. And we, the lyrics and everything are on there, and then the subject matter, all of a sudden, it was like a right-hand turn. It was just like, whoa, man, we just lost Michelle, and now we've lost Brent, and Brent had to be, Brent had just left the band, and it was just like all these crazy things going on. So I hope that answers your question. So
no, totally does. And I'm curious, and again, I'll just kind of direct questions to everybody so we get everybody involved in it if everybody wants to chime in at the end. But Bron, I'll come back to you on this. I was wondering, is Brent contributing to this? Because you guys have been working on this record, obviously. It's been a while since the last record. I don't know if you were working on it previous to his death or even previous to his departure from the band, but are there any writing ideas or even any performances where he actually appears on the new record?
Unfortunately not. He just really for the last few records, we would try to get him to come down and contribute, but he was just kind of off doing his thing. He's riding his motorcycle around and but we would always keep writing, and we would text him or I'd call him and say, hey, we're going to be down there at the space. We're going to be writing. So just letting you know. And if you want to get down there with us and get your hands dirty, you're more than welcome. We want you to be more involved. But, he had a lot going on in his life as well. And he was going through some things personally that were tough. And so we understood that, and we were just giving him as much grace as we could, and just always leaving the door open. But also we are three creative people that the faucet just doesn't turn off. And so I just wanted to be like, hey man, we're going to keep on writing and we are very excited for you to get in on this stuff, and always left that door open. But unfortunately for the last bunch of months of touring, and while we were working on the skeletons of the songs that became Marrow Deep, he just was kind of nowhere to be found within those writing sessions, and as a result we don't have any material from him that is on the new record. So it's solely the three of us kind of creating everything from the ground up, and then getting the new members involved towards the end to sort of quote unquote punch up the songs that existed and really get them to be as good as they possibly could be, with some fresh and new energy with Zhuang and Nick Johnson on guitar.
Troy, you guys did something that I think was incredible, and I've watched twice, and I've directed my audience to check it out as well if they haven't. But you guys did a short documentary, which people can see on YouTube and on the Mastodon website, called Mastodon in the Room, about Brent's death, and about, for people that don't remember the whole timeline, I think most do, he had actually left the band previous and then passed away in this motorcycle accident a few months later. But you guys did a very honest, real documentary about him and the relationship of him in the band, and really transparent about the challenges and the ups and downs, that I thought was incredibly brave and great that you did that, to kind of really show everything that went on there. Can you talk about, the idea to do that and why you decided to do that at the time that you did?
Sure. It was a documentary that we did not want to make, but we felt it was important that it had been about 1.5 years since separating with Brent in the band. And Bill, Bron, and myself never really spoke about it except for amongst ourselves. And then time was going by, and we were dealing with everything else and traveling and starting to work on new music. But as we were gearing up for a new record to come out, we realized that we haven't said anything to anyone And we have a lot of fans out there that we felt were wondering what's going on with the band. Is there dysfunction? Are they moving forward? Like, what's going on? We haven't heard a word. And we felt not only do we want to respect our fans and give them some information, but we also wanted to kind of come out, say what we needed to say in a hopefully tasteful and respectful way. Get that out there so we could kind of just put it in the universe, put it into our fans, let everyone watch it, read into it, and hopefully bring some type of closure because it helped us. And then we could move forward and celebrate the soon-to-be-released record, Marrow Deep, that we've been working very hard on for the past couple of years. So, again, we just felt it was important to say what we needed to say and kind of get it out of our bodies and out into the universe and kind of make peace with that and then be able to move forward and celebrate as we move forward.
Anything, Bill or Bron, you want to add about the doc? Because then the thing that I took away from it was, yeah, it's very respectful, but it's also very real and very honest. And I don't think a lot of fans really understand how challenging it is for people to be in a band and travel and everything and have somebody that is not all there or is presenting challenges or having issues with sobriety or whatever it may be, where it's disrupting the band. I mean, you guys with that doc, I felt really kind of pulled back the curtain on some of this and were very revealing about it. And again, I think you did it in a very tasteful way, but you were very honest about what you dealt with.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's it's a 25-year relationship, and I mean, none of us are angels, obviously, and it was a question where we knew that he wasn't going to be here to defend himself or anything, and I don't feel like we really didn't want to throw him under the bus or anything, but we felt it was necessary to tell our side of the story for the fans, because they were kind of wondering what is going on with these guys. They haven't said a word to us, and Brent had some pretty not nice things to say about them in the press, and we never responded, and so we felt it was necessary for us all to move forward, but we also wanted to celebrate him and the really beautiful artist that he was, and celebrate our brotherhood and put that all on display, but also show that that things don't always go the way you want them to go, and you can't force people to deal with their demons or anything like that. But that was also part of it with him. He was a very complicated, complex human being, but an incredible musician and an incredible friend to us. We loved the guy. We all loved each other. No matter what he said, we knew that that he loved us, and we loved him, and we wanted nothing but the best for him. We wanted him to be safe and happy and ripping guitar and jumping around on stage. But, it's just not like that sometimes. as much as we desired it, for him. And it's just really, really, really unfortunate the way that it turned out, that we didn't get to have that closure. We didn't get to have that hug and that kiss on the cheek and love you, dude, because we desperately wanted that. And we were robbed of that, so it was an important conversation for us to have, for us and for our fans, to try to build some kind of pathway towards whatever closure is. And I think that it provided that.
Yeah, for people who haven't seen it, the three of you are sitting in a movie theater and you're watching this footage from the beginning right through, this kind of chronological footage. Bill, were you guys aware of what was coming up on that screen? Because one of the really cool things about the doc that was so moving is the cutaways to your faces when you see some of this old footage and the smiles and the laughs, and you're like, yeah, I was a dick there. He was a dick there. I mean, I thought that was really, really cool the way it was done. Who kind of had the idea to do that process and kind of reveal this footage to you guys and get your reactions?
Well, no, I wasn't really aware of what was about to come up, and it was hard. It was really hard to watch. I mean, inside I was bawling, you know what I mean? I was trying to keep my composure, and I was, it was, a lot of it was from the Workhorse Chronicles and just early footage. And I'd seen it obviously way back when, 20 some years ago when we made it. And just about every scene I saw, I remembered that moment in time, and it was hard because it was really easy to see I remember that guy. There's the happy Brent when he was full of life and just enjoyed what we were doing. And like Braun said, it's like being married to someone and sleeping in the same bed with them for 25 years. You love them, but you can't stand them sometimes. And it's just life. That's just how it goes. Or you just don't want to, like for him, I don't think his heart was in it anymore towards the end. And you kind of can see it, you know what I mean? And that's okay. Like we're all friends at the end of the day. We just wanted what was best for everyone, of course. And just it was hard to watch the kind of decline and the happy times. But I thought, if there's something I could say to him today, I would just be like, dude, just remember the happy times and all that we have accomplished in our lifetimes. Like, who would have thought? All the great challenges and everything all the great bands we toured with, and just all the good moments, And I think it was kind of everyone's idea, management and the band, to put out some kind. There's a lot of questions out there. And we had never said anything. It's very slippery slope when you get on to the internet and you try to put out all these little fires of people talking shit about what they think. You can
say it. Yeah, and that's insane.
I spelled it for those youngsters out there who don't know how to spell.
But you're right. That's like playing whack-a-mole. You'd go crazy.
You can't do it. I learned that a long, long time ago. To argue with someone on the internet, a faceless commenter or whatever, you're falling into their trap. So I 100%. Felt like I was very unsure, and I just wanted to do it professionally, collectively with everybody on the same page, and kind of just put out this closure, like Braun said. And I feel like it was hard as hell to watch that stuff and to say what we said, but I feel like the fans deserved the truth, and we had to tell our side of the story. I know Brent wasn't there to defend himself or anything, but I don't feel like we threw him under the bus. I just feel like we love the guy, like Braun said. We all did. We tried to help him as much as we could. We all need help. You know what I mean? We're all brothers in this thing. And for a band to be together for almost 26 years, the same four guys, is not an easy. It's like I said earlier, it's a marriage. Sleeping in the same bed, even if you hate the person, sometimes you're like, I'm still married to them. I gotta sleep in the bed next to them. I just feel like we did it to quell all the mystery of like what happened there. What the guy quit and then he got killed, and like what happened? Like what is it? Why isn't the band saying anything? So management and we all put together this idea to like an offensive strike. Like, here you go. Before the record comes out, just well timed. Like before the rumors and all the bullshit starts flying around, let's do something honest and emotional and from the heart, because that's how we always like to operate. That's the only way to do things the right way. So yeah.
Troy, anything you want to add on this? I mean, there's just before, want to talk about the upcoming tour, and of course, the album again is out on August 28th called Marrow Deep. But anything you want to add about the doc? I mean, there's a powerful moment in there where you say, you were the one that just said, "Hey, we gotta call a meeting here and figure this out. Otherwise, you were going to split." Like, and there's also, to Bill's point, funny thing too, where you guys said early on, no one's allowed to ever quit this band. So you're trying to keep it together, but you knew it wasn't going to. And then Troy, you actually have a moment in the doc where you're like, "Yeah, we gotta have basically call a meeting here and end this."
Yeah, and that was one of many, many, many meetings over the past 10 years, unfortunately. But the bottom line was we were just, we had kind of exhausted ourselves trying to be the best friends possible and encouraging paths of help and healthiness, which leads to hopefully happiness. And it just got to a point where we couldn't do it any longer, and that storm was brewing, and it was going to come straight after us. And we just had to, the three of us got together and had to have a final band meeting, and it was just really unfortunate that after 32 years of friendship, 25 years of Mastodon, that that he just didn't want to hear those words and just walked out of the room, and I was never able to see him again and give him that, one of the thousands of hugs and kisses that we've shared over the years, because but the good times outweighed the bad times, and we're just I ultimately in one sentence I could just say I'm so grateful to have shared a friendship and a stage thousands of stages with him around the world, and he made me a broader, better person from a perspective view, and he changed my life for the better. So, yeah.
The new album, again, Marrow Deep, out August 28th. 2 tracks from it out now, Your Ghost Again and Snakes for Dinner, which there's an amazing video out for as well, featuring a cameo in there from Josh Homme and a spoken word part there at the end. Bron, the new album, conceptually, this was your idea?
Well, just we kind of, at a certain point, you got to figure out how we're going to make an album cover out of all this stuff. So I started, digging up some of my mythology books at home and stuff, and just came across some, I guess, pillars that we could, start to look at as far as what's this going to be about. And we decided on the 3 Fates to be the focal point of the album cover. And then just the way that I was sort of folding that into the lyrical content, sort of looked at Brent and my mother, the similarities being that they were these 2 people that we felt were like Keith Richards style humans, where it was going to, they would be alive after the big bomb went off and be the only 2 survivors, So obviously that didn't happen, but it just seemed like they were cheating death at every turn and hiding from the third daughter with the scissors. So it sort of made sense to me. My mom was sick for a lot of her life, and she was in and out of the hospital, had many violent falls, unfortunately, and had a lot of just pages and pages of syndromes, and just dealt a bad hand, but was incredibly strong, and fought her way through many illnesses where they told me she wasn't going to make it, and then she would make it and be like, oh my God, this woman is indestructible, But Brent was kind of similar, because he would do all this crazy stuff, and he's like one of the only people, probably the only person in my life that didn't really have that switch that you flip and you go, this is dangerous for me, I should turn around. He would just go do something insane, and you'd be like, whoa. If I tried to do any half of this stuff that he was doing, we'd all be dead. But he would seem to come out the other side smelling like a rose and be all good. And you'd be like, man, I don't know how do you do that? It was almost envious, So the 3 Fates made the most sense to put on the cover, and we got our good friend, artist Paul Romano, to paint the album cover, and he put a lot of Easter eggs in there, like he always does, of different things that the fans can kind of dig in and see if they can find them and find their hidden meanings. I always liked that Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time album cover, because there were so many little Easter eggs in there, and I just stare at it for hours, and while I was listening to it as a kid. So I always want to like emulate those early Iron Maiden album covers. That never want to lose that aspect of our band, that the album cover is very important. But yeah, we brought the 3 Fates in to represent the 2 major losses and relationships, one being my mom, and then obviously Brent, being those marrow deep relationships, some of the deepest relationships that we have luckily experienced as people.
Yeah. Guys, I know I only have a few minutes left with you before you got to go on and do other things. Troy, why don't you tell us about the tour? Again, we know Marrow Deep comes out August 28th. The tour starts September 16th in Orlando and runs through October 24th in Texas. It's a headlining run. You guys got a good, you factor in the new record and then the rest of the catalog, and now these key songs you've got to do from the catalog. I'm imagining with each record it's getting harder to kind of put together a set and figure out what you are and aren't going to play. Have you tackled that? I imagine you've got it pretty much down at this point, what you're going to do.
Yeah, we do. For the most part, it's a great issue to have when we have 10 albums or so and over 100 songs, and we're saying, hey, we're going to do maybe a 90-minute set, so we need like 17 songs out of over 100. We don't really butt heads, but we have good conversations about what we'd like to play, what we're super happy about and in love with at the moment, and so that conversation's happening now. But it's fun to have because we're looking forward to this headlining run, which we haven't done in several years. So I'm thrilled about it, and I think I speak for all five of us in the band. Where it's very exciting. It's kind of been a long time coming, and we're super excited to play a whole bunch of new songs. And we always enjoy sprinkling in something from every record of our discography. So I'm just really, it's just this celebration to put this record out in a couple weeks means the world to us. And then we really kind of move forward and head out towards that sunset, and have enjoy this and appreciate it. And so I'm thrilled to go on tour, and I cannot wait.
And when you mentioned all five of us, again, you kind of touched on this. Your new guitar player is Nick Johnston, who is on the record, right? He does contribute on the record.
Yeah, all five of us contributed a lot to this record. And our keyboard player, João Nogueira, he's been touring with us for 5 years, and he was very integral on a lot of the beautiful sounds and textures and songwriting on this new album. And Nick Johnston's been with us for nearly 2 years, and we've done several tours around the States and overseas. And he's just a wonderful human being, and he's even a better guitar player. And he's just amazing, and he's just really, the two of them now as a five-piece, we just have this really incredible fresh perspective and this rejuvenation that feels amazing. And that's the main reason I'm excited about going on tour, is to play an hour and a half worth of songs with these guys every single night.
Last thing, and I'll let you go on this. I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys since this happened, but we just went past the year anniversary of Back to the Beginning. And for those that tuned in early, you guys actually opened that incredibly historic event in tribute to Ozzy and Sabbath. I don't know which one of you guys wants to take this, but what was that like, opening that thing that day and being a part of that?
This is Bron. That was amazing, man. It's probably greatest, one of the greatest moments of my life, walking out on that stage. I couldn't even believe that they asked us. I think it was the fastest email response that our management ever got in the history of our band. 0.2 seconds, I think it was, for all members to be like, yes, what is that really happening? And so fantasizing about what it was going to be like was a exercise in futility, because walking out on that stage, I never felt anything like it. It passed nervousness into some kind of euphoria, and just sitting there playing the first song, I remember just saying to myself, calm the fuck down, get through this first song. So, because I was singing Supernaut, and I had all my lyrics written down in Sharpie on my snare drum, because I was like, I'm gonna forget all the fucking lyrics. There's no way. I'm not planning for it, but I can totally see a world where my mind goes zaps blank and I can't remember any of the words of Supernaut. So I made sure they're written down on my snare drum. And I thought we did awesome, and it just was such an amazing, beautiful outpouring of love and appreciation for Sabbath and Ozzy and everything that they gave to us. I mean, they gave us our medium for being creative in music. They made heavy metal for us. They built our tribe. So and you could see all the other bands, from Metallica to Pantera to Slayer. Everybody was on the same playing field. We were just there to honor the gods, Black Sabbath and Ozzy being, the really the focal point, and it was pretty awesome. We played for 15 minutes, and then boom, I had a beer and I was in the front row, and I was just rocking out for the rest of the show, having the time of my life. And then I looked at my wife and I was like, Ozzy hasn't even played yet. Like, Ozzy's gonna play, Sabbath is gonna play. You know what I mean? And when Ozzy came up out of the ground on his out of the ground, up out of the stage on his throne, I mean, everybody just started bawling and hugging, and it was just such an incredible. I never experienced anything like it. It just was so beautiful, and I don't think anybody else could pull it off except for Ozzy. And I mean, no one saw what was coming, but man, what a way to go out. That's insane. Like it was just really beautiful. And just kudos to, and I'm so proud. I was so proud to be a metalhead. You know, walking around Birmingham the day before, having Sabbath being blaring out of all the pubs, all the people in their battle vests just lining the streets, trying to, standing in line to sit in the Sabbath bench, and the whole city just embracing Sabbath the way that they did in Ozzy. And I never felt prouder to be a metalhead, to be honest. Everybody was just so awesome, and it was just such a special event, and so happy that we got to be a part of it. I'm still, think about it just about every day. It was amazing.
Hey, I know I got to let you guys go, but Bron, I got to tell you, whether you realized it or not, you also did something in that performance that I was watching it, and I was so, whether it was an accident or not, I don't know, but I was so happy that it happened, because I loved, and I was a dear friend of Ronnie James Dio, who we also lost, and I love the Dio era of Sabbath, and you were rocking a Heaven and Hell shirt while you played. Was that intentional?
Well, yeah, but the reason was my mom got me that shirt. And so my mom had passed right before that concert, and she knew that we were playing that show, and she was so stoked because my mom was a huge Sabbath fan and a Geezer Butler fan. But I'm wearing this for my mom, and I know that it was like, because I love that era too. I love all eras of Sabbath, but and especially Heaven and Hell. So yeah, I mean, I wore it on purpose for sure, but it was more for my mom, because I just wanted to carry her with me to that performance,
Yeah. Well, I was just happy there was some recognition for Ronnie, even if it was in the smallest of ways. I was like, you go, Bron. It was so cool.
Yeah, buddy. And I love Ronnie, you know what I mean? His contributions to Sabbath were awesome, and the nicest dude ever.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know I got to let you go. I kept you already too long. They're going to yell at me, but it's always good to catch up with you, and congratulations on the new record. From what I've heard, it sounds amazing. 2 tracks out already. Everybody can check out August 28th, the release date for Marrow Deep, and the tour starting September 16th in Orlando for Mastodon. You guys, congrats and condolences on everything that's gone on, and it's amazing how you keep coming out the other side with these incredible pieces of music, and I appreciate you taking some time with me today.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, Eddie. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
See you soon.
Man.
See ya. There's Mastodon, everybody checking in with us here on Trunk Nation. Appreciate some time with them. Again, check out the new album, and check out the music video out there as well on Snakes for Dinner. Really wild, really cool stuff. And again, the album coming out at the end of the month. Appreciate the guys dropping by and joining me. Thank you guys for listening to Trunk Nation. Have a good weekend, everybody. You'll get the week in review tomorrow, and then back live with you guys on Monday to kick off another week of Rock Talk, as usual, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, here on Faction Talk 103. Get caught up on anything Duff McKagan, all the stuff we had earlier in the week on the SiriusXM app. Just punch in my name or Trunk Nation. It'll all come up. All right, have a good one. We'll be back live on Monday, and again, the week in review recap on tomorrow's show. We'll talk to you then.